ZNBC.
And we begin with issues around strengthening forensic science in Zambia. Now, can new DNA systems transform crime detection? That is the big question, because Zambia is taking a major step in modernizing its criminal justice system with the planned implementation of the combined DNA index system, commonly known as CODIS, by the National Forensic Science and Biometrics Department under the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. CODIS is an internationally recognized DNA database system used in many countries to support crime detection, identification of missing persons, and linking suspects to crime scenes through scientific evidence. According to the department, more than 450 forensic cases were handled in 2025 alone, resulting in over 1,000 DNA samples, with approximately 80% of these cases linked to sexual offenses. The introduction of CODIS is expected to significantly reduce the number of unclaimed bodies in mortuaries, improve case turnaround times, and strengthen the use of DNA evidence in court, particularly in sexual trauma and abuse cases where reliable evidence is often difficult to secure. To help us understand how this new DNA system will work and what it means for forensic science and justice delivery in Zambia, I'm joined by Nisha Thakur, who is Director of Forensic Biology at the National Forensic Science and Biometrics Department. Also with her is Mwala, Kalaluka, Principal Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. I'd like to welcome you both to the update.
Thank you so much, Nisha.
Thank you. Good morning.
Let me start with you, Nisha. Just we tried to break it down in as far as looking at this department and what is being introduced. But give us a brief background to what we are talking about from your department and to the CODIS application.
So as you rightly mentioned, that CODIS is called the Combined DNA Index System. It's basically a computer software where you have computerized DNA data in a database. So this allows us to search different databases in our forensic investigations. So CODIS is rolled out by the FBI in the United States, and a lot of countries use it. So what we can do is, what I can start with is explaining the uniqueness of DNA, and that's how you'll understand how CODIS works. So if you know that no two people have the same set of fingerprints, and that is exactly the same way DNA works. So no two people have the same DNA. So when we put an unknown sample of DNA into the database, let's say from a crime scene, you get a blood sample, you don't know who the criminal is, you put that DNA into the database, and you could possibly find a match. And that's how CODIS works. So let's say someone convicted a rape. I'll give you an example. Someone was raped. The rapist is on the run. The leads are cold. Nothing can be done. That same rapist goes and commits another crime somewhere else, maybe years away, years apart. And they get arrested. That DNA sample will go and match the previous crime. And that's how CODIS works.
Let me turn to you, Mr. Kalaluka, in looking at policy perspective and how critical CODIS is. And I like that Nisha did speak about cold cases. More often than not, that's how most of us felt in looking at the public perception of rape, for instance, and such criminal cases.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nisha. Now, in terms of the policy perspective, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, hitherto, before 2021, was known as just the Ministry of Home Affairs. But from 2021, we've added another perspective there of internal security. So this goes in line, in tandem with our mandate as a ministry of providing and promoting internal security services for a peaceful and stable Zambia. So the internal security aspect is what brings us to this day's topic and discussion, in the sense that initially, for you to be able to investigate these crimes of rape, those that's required forensic analysis, we had to take samples outside this country, and that ensured that that's so that the cases were delayed to be closed or to be concluded, because you had to wait for the results of those analysis or the forensic samples that were taken outside the country. Now that meant that justice was being delayed was being delayed for the victims or survivors of sexual and gender-based violence cases that were supposed to be investigated within the criminal justice system. So from a reform point of view, we had to strengthen the policy perspective to ensure that we had a department that was dedicated to spearhead what we're discussing today from a forensic science perspective. And that is where CODIS now came in 2024 for us to be able to have a database for DNA samples, for them to be analyzed, as well as also being able to bring closure to these cases that required DNA forensic science analysis.
Okay, let me turn to you, Nisha. We talked about another aspect, which is unclaimed bodies. Just talk to us about how this works, because more often than not, we see, for instance, our mothers now having this backload of bodies from churches and just helping in burying them. But what are we talking about as far as unclaimed bodies are concerned?
So how CODIS can help with unclaimed bodies or even unidentified human remains is that the DNA profiles from the unclaimed bodies can be uploaded onto the database. And if anyone comes in to claim a body and say they're missing a relative, their DNA profile is also added onto the database. And you can find a match. So we've actually done this with, if you remember the Serenge bus fire case, where there was a lot of people that burned to death in the bus. So all those samples, those DNA samples from unidentified human remains were sent to us by the Office of the State Forensic Pathologist. We analyzed them, and we could then match the unidentified to the relatives. So this allows us an opportunity to give them a dignified burial, give closure to the family, and it's CODIS's effort in the humanitarian aspect that CODIS also has.
I like that you put a human face to it. Let me turn to you, Mr. Kalaluka, in looking at the impact you expect CODIS to have, especially in prosecution success rates when it comes to these gender-based violence and other related cases that CODIS will actually service.
So whenever it comes to cases of like sexual offenses, that is SGBV included, we always emphasize or stress on the importance of timely reporting of these cases, because it is critical that if an incident occurs within today, for example, we expect that to be reported within the next 24 hours. So those are that time span is very important for us to be able to have precise results in terms of analysis of the material from the crime scene. Now, if, for example, people report cases and then they take long to be concluded or to be decided upon within the justice system, then people will become discouraged because there is no closure on these cases. But if you have timely processing of cases, either from analysis, from the collection of the samples from the crime scene, then also the analysis is being done timely, and then even the prosecution process also will be quick. So that's what you call turnaround times and the completion of the cases. So in this regard, CODIS will be able to help us. Is able to help us to ensure that people are encouraged to report these cases timely, and also even in terms of management of the crime scene, they're handling the crime scene in an effective manner, so there is no contamination of any kind in that regard.
Now, Nisha, let's look at expertise. How are we doing when it comes to this? I'm sure people think this is a new technology. Do we have enough expertise in the country to actually look at what we're looking at, and the numbers that come in? Do we have enough people?
At the moment, we're a very young department, very small. We're starting off in the forensic field. Just the fact that CODIS is in the country is a huge deal, and the FBI don't easily just roll out this service to anyone. So obviously, when they assessed us, they did think that Zambia is prepared to handle this system. In terms of capacity building, we've made efforts to send a lot of officers abroad to study. So for example, study forensic science at the University of Cape Town and the National Forensic Science University in India. So as we speak, it's not about the preparedness of the country, it's about building the future. And I think those are the steps we are taking.
Let me turn to you, Mr. Kalaluka, in looking at coordination between the police, forensic experts like Nisha, and the courts. How are you, as the ministry, supporting this in as far as we're looking at capacity building?
Okay, so in terms of capacity building and coordination, we as a department and as a ministry, we're collaborating with the various stakeholders because obviously we have one goal, and the goal is to prevent and combat crime for a peaceful and stable Zambia. So as a department, we are, for example, providing transport for law enforcement agencies to courier samples to the laboratory efficiently. And also we have embarked on a program where we're distributing sexual assault kits called SAFE, and that's the acronym, with a total of over 1,000 kits provided nationwide. This means that there will be timely sample collection and management in STBV cases, and like I've said, people will be encouraged to report cases when they're being handled timely. And also, we are training medical officers and first responders. Now, first responders are those who come to the crime scene. Like I said earlier, for us, the crime scene management is crucial for us to be able to have a precise analysis in terms of what is coming out from the crime scene in terms of the DNA or evidence from the crime scene. And then also, this also helps us to package forensic samples to ensure if evidence integrity and reduce delays, like I've already said. So basically, this is what we are doing to improve turnaround times and also ensure completion rates are increased to enhance the contribution of DNA evidence to the justice system.
Nisha, let's conclude by looking at service delivery and the justice system and how forensic science will shape how differently this will be handled.
So in my opinion, forensic science will be the backbone of justice in Zambia. We are moving into a future where we're proving cases with science and not speculation. We are getting cases to court quicker. We're able to protect the innocent people because with DNA analysis and evidence as well, you're able to exonerate. So you're able to protect the innocent. You are able to find out who the repeat offenders are, because sexual crimes are usually repeat offenses. So when you identify a repeat offender, you actually stop the future of that crime. And that's the way you protect survivors as well. So in terms of forensics, I think the future is forensics, and we're very hopeful for that and excited.
It is indeed exciting, especially when we look at the sexual-based violence cases. But let me end with you, Mr. Kalaluka, in looking at how and what message you'd like to send to the Zambian people in looking at the evolution of the ministry and these services that continue to improve the service delivery.
This is about the investment that the ministry is putting in terms of crime prevention and also ensuring that there is closure on criminal cases. And also we want to encourage members of the public out there to say that whenever cases of sexual offenses occur, issues of rape, defilement, they should be reported timely because, like I've said, 24 hours for us is crucial in terms of us collecting the samples from the crime scene and then analyzing for us to be able to get precise results in terms of ensuring that that crime is combated, and also we prevent in the long run whenever there are those deterrence measures that the courts do put in. And also it's about even ensuring that people get justice at the end of the day, either the survivors or those who have been accused, because CODIS can be able to also exonerate those who are accused of these offenses, but when you analyze, you find that actually it's not even them who did that. So that is justice for both the survivors and the perpetrators of crime.
Nisha, you'd like to add?
Yes, please. I think I would like to take this opportunity to make a public service announcement and say to all the survivors out there, anyone who knows anyone who's gone through a sexual offense, your relative, yourself, please report within 72 hours. But as Mr. Kalaluka said, 24 hours is critical. If you have any articles of clothing, Please package them that were present at the time of the incident. Please package them separately, bedding separately, underwear, trousers, all of that. Report the crime to the police. We have DNA analysis in the country. We can deliver justice. Thank you.
And justice will be delivered. And that is our discussion around what is transpiring in the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security, and looking at how DNA systems will work and what forensic science and justice delivery is evolving into when it comes to the country's progression. And Nisha Thakur of the Forensic Biology at the National Forensic Science and Biometrics Department joined us with Mwala Kalaluka, who is the Principal Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security.